This is Vanessa Martinez, the editor of the Content Marketeer. With us right now is Lauren Goldstein of Babcock Jenkins. She is the Vice President of Strategic Planning and participated on a panel today called Ignite the Pipeline. Thank you for being with us, Lauren.
Yeah, thank you, Vanessa.
So tell us a little bit about what you spoke about on the panel today, just briefly.
Sure. So the panel, it was actually a session on igniting the pipeline, and it was about how it's important to truly have an integrated, personal, relevant set of communications to market to prospects and customers. We also talked a little bit about why having a special set of communications for your most important customers and prospects is critical, meaning that don't treat all of your customers and prospects as the same. There's probably that 20% that could represent about 80% of your revenue.
And so how does content marketing work into that percentage divide?
So content marketing is literally the lifeblood and the currency of any kind of marketing. That said, when you're talking to your most targeted accounts or your most important accounts, you have to be relevant. We all know that 70+% of the sales cycle is happening today by the buyer or the prospect in a self-directed fashion. So we have to have a smart and well-aligned content strategy in order to really support that buying cycle.
Well, and you've talked a little bit about the persona, the customer journeys. Can you explain what that means just a little bit more in how you approach content strategy?
Sure. So from a buyer or prospect perspective, we really want to get inside that person's head. We want to understand where they're involved in the decision cycle, who the other influencers are, and we actually map out what their buyer journey looks like. We follow a 9-step buyer journey approach, but of those 9 steps in the buying cycle, one person might only be involved in 2 or 3, or more involved in 2 or 3. So not only do we map out the buyer journey, but we take a look at where they're most involved, and then we go a step further and we really ask ourselves, what are the questions that that buyer or influencer needs at those key decision points in order to progress in that buying cycle? And that really becomes the foundation of the content strategy.
And how long, Lauren, I mean, this is something that a lot of marketers are just coming to, content marketing, content strategy. How long have you been practicing this at Babcock?
So we've had a formal content practice in place for about 5 years. So on the spectrum of early adopter, we were definitely one of the first to understand that it was a critical part of strategic planning. But our practice has definitely gotten more robust over the years. And I would say in the last 2 years, it has really become the focus of all of the marketing that we do.
And for a brand looking to take on content strategy, content marketing for the first time, what is your advice to them when they're looking for an agency? What should they really be looking for when they're going to find people like you to help them?
So I think there's a couple critical components. One is that in order to have a smart content strategy, you have to understand who your buyer is. So whether that partner either has experience with a particular target audience or they feel confident that they can get to the answer, having someone be able to really craft that persona of the buyer along with the buyer journey is most critical. The second is having a vision for what good content would be that's aligned to that buyer journey. So I think experience with the target audience is really important, and an understanding of what kind of content is going to engage your target audience. So there's the relevancy factor from a content perspective, but also knowing what channels to see that content in, or what formats that audience prefers their content to be found in. Those types of insights are also critical.
One more question on that front. What do you think, what can companies do to prepare for the experience? What do you find maybe most people coming in that they really didn't think about maybe before they came to you?
This is a commitment and a journey. So any client who wants to be planning on a quarterly basis or in very short-term increments, it's not going to work. This is really a long-term commitment. And when we're doing content planning, it's 12 or 18 months looking ahead, sometimes even longer. So I would say don't get in there with the desire to pilot content marketing as a practice. It has to be a commitment and a belief. The second thing is, again, it's hard work. So you need to have subject matter experts from inside the organization that are really committed. Yes, you can augment with content from outside the organization, but you really do have to have a commitment. We find that when this is a directive at the executive level, at the CMO level, or even sometimes the CEO level, it works best.
Interesting. Do you have any final thoughts for us here at OMS 12?
So I just think that content marketing is truly the currency of our marketing today, and it's absolutely the place that you have to start any marketing campaign, whether it's going after prospects and trying to get them into the funnel, or customers and trying to push upsell, cross-sell, or simply just trying to move people through the funnel or enable sales. The currency, the bottom line, is all around content and aligning content in a relevant fashion.
Thank you, Lauren. We really appreciate you talking to us today at The Marketeer, and we'll be back talking to some other people soon.